Hello friends, in my earlier video, I explained what is anger and how we can control our anger before it controls us. I explained that anger is nothing but our way of expressing displeasure over something, and there are three possible ways in which we can control our anger. Today I want to explain Bhagavad Gita's perspective on anger management. For this, I want to take help of two shlokas from Bhagavad Gita from chapter 2. So let's look at the first shlok, that is shloka 62 from chapter 2. It says, ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसान् संगस्तेषु पजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. What is the meaning of this shloka? Lord Krishna explains, once the person starts continuously thinking about a certain object or desired outcome, that leads to attraction to that particular object. And from that attraction arises a deep desire to control or deep desire to possess that object or outcome. And once that desire is not fulfilled, the person becomes angry. And what happens when the person becomes angry? That is explained in the next shloka, that is shloka 63. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhangshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashati. Lord Krishna explains here that once the person becomes angry, it leads to sammoha. That means it leads to impairment of the judgment or the clouding of the judgment. We do not know what is right, what is wrong. The person under the influence of the anger loses the ability to decide what is right and what is wrong. That is called as sammoha. It's just like a person who is hypnotized. When we instruct the person who is hypnotized that the object he or she holding is a very warm object or very cold object, the person will behave accordingly while others get surprised. So what happens when the person comes under influence of sammoha, or once the person faces the impairment of the judgment? The next is sammohat smriti vibhramaha. This hypnotized stage leads to temporary loss of memory. That means whatever the rules we have learned, assumptions we have learned, everything is forgotten temporarily. We do not know how to react to a hot object. We do not know how to react to a cold object, just like a hypnotized person. And that leads to, once the temporary loss of memory happens, smriti bhangshat buddhinasho, that once the memory is erased, our intellect is not able to take any decision because it is no longer having access to the data, to the memory. And once that happens, buddhinashat pranashati, once our intellect doesn't work for us, it leads to total destruction. That's what Lord Shri Krishna explains. So let's look at both these shlokas together. So here Lord Krishna very beautifully and logically explains the chain of events related to anger. First he says that repeated thinking about a certain object or outcome leads to attraction towards that object. That attraction leads to a deep desire to possess that outcome or that object. And once that desire is unfulfilled, or there is some kind of an obstacle in possessing that particular object or outcome, we become angry. And once the person becomes angry, it leads to sammoha. That is, the person behaves like a hypnotized person. The person loses the sense of judgment. And once the person loses the sense of judgment, it leads to a temporary loss of memory. That temporary loss of memory leads to impairment of the intellect. That means the person no longer takes logical, intellectual decisions because there is no access to the past memory. And once we take the decisions without using the intellect, we don't have to say what happens. Lord Krishna says it leads to the total destruction. So friends, my learning from both these shlokas is Be it a personal life or a professional life, anger management is extremely important. Hello friends, my name is Rajendra. I am a business performance expert with over 25 years of experience driving profitable business growth and market expansions across geographies and industries. I enjoy working with individuals and organizations to build stronger performance ownership culture. My methodology is self-propelled superior performance, provides structured orientation to performance, ownership, mindset and behavior. This mindset helps us intensify our efforts to gain control over the obstacles to achieve our desired goals. If you are interested to know how performance ownership behavior can be developed deliberately and not left to chance, stay tuned to my channel, Program to Perform, that is, program your mindset for superior performance. Thank you for watching and wish you a great luck.